Spain is very similar to Greece.
I like the weather there. It was warm, it was sunny, and it looked really good.
I've never been to Madrid, so I'm really looking forward to the trip.
We're gonna try and play how we can, like try and be the best we can.
Playing for third is still a big deal.
And H2K could be in some trouble, but the Meganar comes in. Svenskeren getting low, taken down. It's a double kill over to Hjarnin, and they have turned it around.
Pretty scared going up against them. H2K is definitely a good team.
Playing an SK would be pretty hard. I think it will be a hard game to face them.
Odoamne does what he can, but everybody on H2K is melting.
Fantastic, fantastic performance from SK Gaming.
We have a lot more to prove.
Placing fourth would be a failure.
Finishing third is really important if you want to make Worlds. Our goal is to go to Worlds.
If we're gonna go out, we should go with our head high.
Germany to come here to the Palacio Vista Alegre for the conclusion of the 2015 European League of Legends Spring Playoffs. As you can see, everything's fired up in the Palacio Vista Alegre. Still some fans outside waiting to take their seats and be witness to all the action live right here. H2K very concentrated on the match coming up ahead, that third place match they absolutely have to win. And there's SK Gaming as they walked onto the stage just a couple of minutes ago, getting set up as well, needing to be in the zone to grab that third place spot here. And there are the Spanish casters, Barbecue Sharon and Ulises, who are casting for the the home crowd. I'm Ifje Schokkes-de-Poortre, and joining me on the analyst desk this weekend are two very familiar faces, coaches for the Copenhagen Wolves and Gambit Gaming, Dentist and Leviathan. Welcome, thank you so much for joining us here in Spain.
We're in Spain.
Yeah, you definitely are, we all are, and let's take a look back and see how exactly we got here. Last week's semifinals were dramatic, to say the least, starting off with Fnatic beating out H2K, but they did need 5 games and every single game of that one counted, and they had to react to the bans that H2K was throwing out, banning out Huni.
Absolutely, they banned out Huni in every single game, and H2K was not able to adapt their bans. They were pretty stable with their banning the same champions every single game, so adapting in the series will be a big point for them today.
Yeah, and it seemed like as the series went on, H2K's level of play also dropped. Their inexperience of playing best of fives really showed, and we'll see if they're able to bring it up today.
Yeah, they got to bounce back today, and we talked about drama. SK Gaming versus the Unicorns of Love last week. Still haven't gotten over that one. The rookies taking down the #1 seed, and SK, they were baited into playing a playstyle different than their own, and it wasn't working for them.
Yeah, I really want to see SK play their style, the 3 lanes pushing all the time. Freddie was saying they play more than one style, but when they were playing those other styles, it just didn't look as good, didn't look SK. So I want to see them return to what they're good at.
Also, Unicorns was able to just adapt to SK. Whenever SK went for the late game stealing, they just went crazy on them in the mid game and searched for fights everywhere. The typical Unicorn style. So they did everything right.
They're crazy. That means that the Unicorns of Love and Fnatic are in tomorrow's finals. But today, SK and H2K are playing for third place and the championship points today. Very important as we look towards the end of the year. Today's match is the difference between 30 and 50 points going into the summer split. The team with the most points at the end of the summer split will automatically qualify for one of 3 spots at Worlds. The other 2 spots will go to the winner of the summer split and the winner of the regional qualifier. So the teams really have to fight here to make sure that they get those points. But there still will be a score to settle after today's best of 5 right here in Europe. As following our broadcast, we're going to kick it across the Atlantic to North America, where there's a third place match for Team Impulse versus Team Liquid as well. So a great day of League here upon us. And throughout today's third place match, we want to touch base with you guys at home. Tweet at LL Esports and let us know what has been the biggest surprise in the European LCS playoffs so far and why. I'd like to turn to our analyst as well, Dentist.
Well, for me, it was definitely Gambit Gaming. They started off pretty slow, starting with 5 losses in a row, but then stacked up the wins, 7-0. Started in the playoffs, went to playoffs, and then fall short in the quarter. But as we all know, 10 points are all you need, right?
Thanks to this guy.
And in my completely unbiased opinion, I have to go with my 10-point brothers, the Copenhagen Wolves. Last place in the previous split, now they're in the middle of the Wolf Pack, and it's just... It can only go up from here for the Copenhagen Wolves.
You guys warm my heart. Well, remember to tweet your answers at LL Esports. Be sure to use that hashtag LCS so we can go over them right here on the desk as the show progresses. Now let's get into the match at hand between the first seed SK Gaming and the third place H2K. Both teams, they struggled to adapt, as we said, in their semifinal, but today, as they're playing teams that are more in line of their own style, they should be able to adapt better. Let's start by taking a look at SK Gaming's roster as they are on the red side for this one. Of course, Freddy122, Svenskeren, Fox, Forgiven, and Rated and Inner Flame. They are on the red side for games 1, 3, and 5. They've chosen that as the higher seeds. And H2K chose blue in 2 and 4. So we're going to have 5 red side games if it comes to that for SK Gaming. Let's dive a little deeper into that semifinal for them. As said, playing someone else's style for SK doesn't seem to be their cup of tea, and they were forced into that.
Yeah, the point I wanted to touch on was the Dragons. I have my notes in front of me, and H2K and SK are the two teams that get the first Dragons the most. And SK has needed the 5 Dragon buff in the 5 of their last 8 games, and so I believe that Dragons between these two teams is going to be one of the most important things.
Yeah, absolutely. Both teams are mid-game oriented. They have a strong early game, a smooth transition to mid-game, and then they try to finish off their games in the mid-game. If those two styles clash, it depends on what team has the better early game, what team comes better into the mid-game, and then are they able to finish it out.
Yeah, talking about the strong early game and mid-game from SK Gaming, we of course think about Forgiven in semifinals getting banned out with Graves and Lucian. He doesn't have the same impact on the other champions. He actually chose 3 different ones to try out, and it didn't work out. And it's not, if he's not dominating, they actually need him to be a dominating force.
Let's be real here. Forgiven is a dominant AD carry on every champion. People say you can ban him out. No, you can just force him on champions that didn't work so well for the team SK in general. Forgiven himself, he's still amazing on those champions. Whether to put him on Tristana or Caitlyn, he will perform. But the team SK just plays pretty poorly around the late game scaling champions. It's definitely better to put him on Graves or Lucian, and Unicorns in the smaller banning them out every single game.
Yeah, when you put Forgiven on Graves or Lucian, he has the potential to just carry the game, take it away by himself. So when you see the bans today, you should expect to see a Graves and Lucian ban out of H2K.
All right, so thinking about that bottom lane more generally, also with Enrated, they didn't have the easiest time, and now they're up against Kasing and Hjarnan, and it's kind of the same style as Hylissang and Vardak. Hylissang very dominant support, and so is Kasing, so they might have a bit of trouble going into that matchup.
Yeah, I was actually speaking to Enrated earlier today, and he said their pick and ban preparation was heavily focused towards the bottom lane, so the bans out of this game should be very interesting. At least I assume he was telling me the truth. So they were, SK was paying very close attention to that, and we'll have to see if the lane dominant Enrated versus the very skilled roamer Kasing, we'll have to see how that goes.
Well, for me, it's like you got the stronger AD carry on SK, and you got the stronger support on H2K. This 2v2 matchup, if they decide to go 2v2, decides what position, AD carry or support, is more dominant in the 2v2 matchup.
Moving away from the bottom lane, you said they don't capitalize on the fact that Forgiven gets ahead. Someone who doesn't only capitalize but makes things happen for SK Gaming, we got to touch on him. Svenskeren in the semifinal, single-handedly carrying them to victories in 2 and 4, games 2 and 4, that is, versus the Unicorns, choosing that Lee Sin.
Yeah, Svenskeren, when he's able to get that Lee Sin and able to get those early aggressive champions, can really set the pace for the team. The team likes to play pushed up, hitting the enemy tower, and when SK and Svenskeren are able to control the river and control the jungle lanes, it just allows SK to play their game.
Yeah, but we don't forget, Unicorns of Love as a team has a fairly poor early game warding. H2K, on the other hand, they're going to ward those places. They're going to deep ward, they're going to know where Svenskeren is, and then take away that whole early game aggression of Svenskeren. And if you put him on a champion like Lee Sin or Rek'Sai, where he's forced to make those early game plays, and you take that away by warding him out, then it might be interesting if he's able to adapt.
Yeah, definitely something that should be in the game plan for H2K. And let's take a look at their lineup there on the blue side. For this one, Odoamne, Lulex, Ryu, Hjarnan, Kasing, and they are coached by Prowley. As said, they focused totally on banning out Huni in their games versus Fnatic, Shyvana, Hecarim, and Rumble, and they didn't adapt even when Fnatic found a solution to get back into the series. They did the same thing, which is not good in the best of 5.
No, definitely. Well, we rewatched all of the games, and it felt like H2K, especially in games 4 and 5, weren't able to hold that mental fortitude up straight. They were shaky, they weren't concentrated, they didn't play the usual game, and Fnatic on the other end, they went huge and just capitalized on their mistakes and ran away with 2 clear victories. They have to make sure that they make it stable through the series.
Yeah, like I said earlier, they have to be ready to play all 5 games in the series. Just because you get a lead and the enemy team gets a couple wins on you, you have to win 3 games regardless of how many they win.
Yeah, you can't let your head down if you know that you're going to be in for 5 games possibly. As said, those teams are same or similar in style much more than the teams that they played in the semifinal. Let's touch on a couple of key things here. Vision, as you touched on already. SK actually has a poor record when it comes to warding in the regular season. They generally place 720 wards less than their opponents placed against them. But when they play H2K, they do seem to place down more wards and to get that control early. So I think they haven't figured out when it comes to playing H2K in that same style.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have a jungler like Svenskeren, as I said earlier, who's very dependent on those early game plays and who's able to carry the whole team when he got that secure vision control, then you have to adapt to the opponent. So SK in this series, they should focus on warding. They should focus on clearing the warding from H2K, and then you just get H2K, get Svenskeren going.
And it's also going to be that early game vision control that's going to allow the teams to secure the dragons, especially the first dragon. They're both, like I said before, really good at securing the first dragon and turning that into a victory. So it's going to be the vision game that's going to help enable the teams get that.
Very hotly contested. Well, you guys heard a lot of what we had to say about SK Gaming, but we're going to head on the stage to hear from one of the players.